everyone, and thank you so much for being here tonight. I'd like to personally welcome all of you here to our first community meeting for Stege. To get started tonight, I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Moses.
Thank you. I first want to acknowledge you for coming out and sharing your Thursday night with us as we plan for what's going to be great for this community and are planning to come. I want to start by acknowledging our team here who have been able to not only support this project but find additional dollars to make the project realize to be what we all want it to be. So can we give them a round of applause as well? I also want to share that as a youth, this place holds special value for me. I had my Richmond Steelers cheerleading practice here every twice a week. I'm homegrown. I was proud principal of Stege for about 4 years, grew up in South Richmond, and as a Richmond resident, I know how special this is, not only for our students, but for our community. And your voices in this project are going to make a huge difference in ensuring that it's everything it needs to be for our entire community. So thank you again for coming out this evening. I want to recognize our school board trustee, Guadalupe Yana, and acknowledge her presence with us this evening. So let's engage, have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to the presentation and the project.
Before we jump right in, I also want to appreciate our site leadership that are here with us tonight. We're going to jump right into introductions. And there's an entire team here today. All of us play a very unique role, and we want to introduce ourselves to you. And so with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Ellen McKee-Hooper, our Director of Facilities, Planning, and Construction, to introduce the project team.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Really appreciate you spending an evening with us. I know there's a lot of things going on in the district, and I'm really happy that you're able to be here this evening. We do have our architectural team, which is Perkins-Eastman, and so they will be presenting a little later on. I'm going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to get to the part that y'all came for, which was hearing about the project. In the back, we also have our design build partner, who is Alten Construction. So they are working side by side with us to make this a reality. We also have Van Pelt, which is the construction management team that's helping us manage the project. And we're up with cookies tonight, so we're excited to have them on board for more than just cookies. So anyways, thank you again for being here this evening. We do have a little agenda here. We're going to go through the introduction that's going to talk about the project process, as well as your role within that project process. Then we're going to go through some guiding principles, the building program, which is really what we like to call the recipe for the building. So it talks about the parts and pieces that are going to go into the building structure, and then we're going to have some site options. If you weren't able to participate yet in the vision piece, that's going to be up until the end, so you can add your stickies on the way out. And then we are going to also have another activity once we get to the site options piece so that we can get as many people's input as possible. So when we're gathering input and creating an architectural process, there is a lot that goes into it. And really we start with our district-wide educational specifications and product and material standards. So throughout our different construction projects, as you guys may be aware, we did recently Michelle Obama's Lake. We have these background documents that really allow us to make sure that we're meeting our educational goals. We're supporting our educational program, and we're picking products that are of high quality, that last a long time, that are easy to maintain, and are useful to our maintenance department. So we're not trying to stock a bunch of different ceiling tiles. We have kind of the same ceiling tiles around the district. Those kind of things we set product standards for. And those are those two guiding documents that you see at the top of the diagram. Because really these district level standards that we have to make sure we have our equity across the district and that we're supporting good buildings. Then other things that come into play when we're creating a architectural plan is the existing site itself. So you guys are familiar with the CH site. It's a square in shape, which is different than some of our other recent builds. And it also has slope changes that come from one side of the site to the other. It has two streets that border it, and neighbors that back out to the other two sides. So all of those things have an impact on how the overall design comes together. We also report to a bunch of different agencies. So you might hear the letters DSA. DSA is the Division of State Architect. They are the main people who approve our drawings and give us a permit to build. And they really enforce the building code and the green code. But beyond that, we have the Department of Education that reviews our drawings to make sure that we meet state standards for what an educational facility should be. We go to the health department for our kitchen. We also have guidelines that come from PG&E and East Bay Mud and all the utilities that we want to tap into to make a functional school. So those all give us additional restrictions and guidelines of how we can design. And then we have our district departments, so nutrition, IT, maintenance, they're all partners in making sure that our buildings continue to run and serve our students and our communities. So they also give us input. Then if you go to the other side, we have our school input, our community input, and our family input, and those happen as well. And all of these things come together to come up with our final design concepts. And then if you're wondering, well, what do we do with this? Like, how does our input get incorporated? How do we go from building a school to building a school for speech, right? And that's these pieces over here. When we start talking about community culture, really understanding what your hopes and dreams are for this particular campus, we use those pieces to start affecting the things that you see in the other columns. So what is the feel that you get when you come into the building or the site? Different buildings and places speak to you in different ways. You feel welcome, you feel like you should go here, you feel like you should go here. Those are all things that are really dictated by the scale of the buildings, what kind of entry elements there might be, colors and materials, window style, architectural style, all of those things give you those feelings when you walk into an environment, and they tell you what you're supposed to do in that space. And so that's how we use those vision pieces to really create something that's special for this community. We're also looking for your input. Your input will also affect how we create the circulation paths, what pieces and parts go next to each other, and what kind of side elements we have. We all know that we're looking for a lot more than the previous playground space had, for example. And so we're really excited to talk to you about what that looks like. We do have a toolkit to be able to give outreach and engagement for you guys to make sure that you know what's going on with the project and that we're able to get your input throughout the project. So part of how that can work is project flyers, postcards, construction newsletter. We had people signing in over here. If you gave the email to the person who was taking assignments, we will send you the construction newsletter. So that's what that's for. Social media, we do have a Facebook and Instagram page. The handle is at WCCUSD Facilities. So you can follow us on either one of those platforms. And we do have a dedicated updated project website. It's on your handout. So on your handout, it gives at the very bottom, it has the project website on that. So if you take that handout home, you can access that website. We will be doing quarterly updates to the board and to the community. We have monthly updates to the CDOC, which is the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. We also still have spaces available, so if you want to apply to that committee, there are still open seats. When invited, we will show up to the school site council as well as the principal's coffee chat. So there's lots of opportunity to talk to us and for us to be able to communicate with you. If you have any additional ideas, please find me. While we're doing the different exercises, we'd be happy to learn other creative ways that we can communicate. All right, so one last thing before I give it over to the architects, and that is the timeline. So what we have been talking about is we're splitting this project into 3 parts. This is to get us moving as quickly as possible so that we can make the fall 2027 move-in. So the first thing that's going to happen is the demolition. We do not need to go to the Division of State Architect to knock the building down. And so we are going to be able to do that this spring. So you will start seeing that happen on the site. After that, we are also putting together a utility and building footprint package. This is really just to move us forward faster. Those get approved and reviewed by DSA faster. And so we are able to get some of the underground work going as soon as possible. People get very frustrated sometimes in the underground work because it's a bunch of work and it takes a long time, and by the time you're done, all you see is flat dirt. And it's like, wait, what have you guys been doing? And it's like, well, all that stuff that goes underground, that's super important, that brings the water in and takes the water you don't want anymore away, it all needs to happen before we can start building. So that's the part that's going to happen next. We expect that to start in the summer. And then after that, the architects are already busy working on the actual building projects. So that's where they're designing the buildings themselves as well as all the site pieces and everything you see above ground. And so that is planning on being, the drawings are complete in fall 2025. And that allows us to get into the state architect. Once they approve the plans, we can begin construction on the main project. So those are the steps for the timeline. And from here, we're going to move on to our next thing.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim Coffey and I'm an architect at Perkins-Eastman. And it's wonderful to see parents and students and a 60-year alumni. I'm so excited about seeing you all here today. So some of the things that we did early on, before we even got this project, is we spent some time looking at Stege, what's online, what inspired us, and we want to celebrate the Stege community. And how we do that is looking at the whole child. When we think of the whole child, we think of wellness, not only social, emotional, but also physical, as well as all the wonderful things that the teachers are doing in the classroom. And we want to nurture that Stege star in everything that we do in our design. And that means having spaces with natural daylight, having good thermal comfort and acoustic control, and healthy materials. All of that matters and makes an environment that your students will thrive in. Obviously, we can't do this without the educator, and the educator needs spaces like small learning communities and spaces that breakout spaces for them to collaborate and work together. Staff lounges, all the wonderful things that get the community of Stege together, both on the professional side and as well as the activities that they do as a community. We believe that every school that we design is customized for the community. So we think of culture as inclusivity and distinguished. Stege is distinguished in its in the way that it's been originally designed to where it is today, and we want to honor that history, but we also want to think, how do we move forward into the future? What are the wonderful opportunities that this new school will bring for the Stege students? And then lastly, how do we kind of respond to some of the existing conditions that we can see in marshes and the ecosystems that are around? So what you currently have is a sea of asphalt, but that's not going to be what this design is. It's going to be about nature. It's going to be about butterflies and all these wonderful experiences that your students, your children see around your community, but can also see at the school. So this is what we did, sort of in a vacuum, but then we got some feedback from the groups that we met with. And that feedback was a community-centered campus, having indoor-outdoor play, so that not only learning happens inside the classroom, but happens outside. That would support student well-being and comfort, and again, that has to do with natural daylight, has to do with acoustics, has to do with healthy materials. Again, green natural spaces. And so we talk about these because there's real research behind these decisions that we make, that when you have spaces where students can see the sky and the clouds and can experience nature, there's a calming component to that. It makes you feel ready to learn, and you want to have that experience in school. Age-appropriate play and activities. Safety and security, of course, is the essential, and if you don't feel safe going to school, you really can't learn. So that's really an important component. You'll see some of the options that we present tonight, how we kind of thought about safety and security. And equitable resources, as it relates back to EdSpec, we had the opportunity to develop the criteria documents for LAKE. So those documents went to the team, which is Alten, and they constructed it. So we're really proud that we can be part of this evolution, and we know that Stege is going to be an exceptional example of that iteration. So with that, we're going to transition over to Catherine, and she's going to talk more about those spaces in the building.
Thank you, Kim. So now we're going to talk about what those guiding principles or objectives, how that plays into real spaces. So we've broken these slides up into different types of spaces, which as architects we call that the building program. Program in this case just means what different types of spaces all go into the design. So this first slide is talking about the administrative and library spaces. The images here are just inspo. We haven't designed it yet, but these are the types of spaces we're having in the back of our mind when we think about the different components that go into the administration building in the library. So the first item there, we're referring to a single point of entry, which that means when the campus is in session, when classes are in session, there is a controlled entry point that's monitored by the administration desk. That's a safety feature. The next item here, parent and community access. We want that to be readily available with the resources that are needed, and again, aligned with the ed specs. When we say ed specs, that's referring to the standards that apply across the whole district. So we're working to match the other facilities that you've seen recently built. So parent and community access, we're talking about the parent center that's available through the main lobby, a community room near the library with after-hours parking access. And then some other key facilities, there's private offices, conference spaces, small group rooms, a nurse's office for student wellness. And then in the library, there's areas for books, story nooks, and table space. So you're seeing some examples up there. I think that's Lake. That's the example there. And then staff amenities, making sure there's a teacher workroom and a lounge, appropriate custodial spaces, office and storage, staff restrooms in all buildings. So you don't have to go to another building to use the restroom when you're in the middle of something. Thanks, Carol.
Question. What about bathroom facilities for the students?
Yes, and we'll get to that. We have...
They will be in every building?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So then the next type of building program we're looking at here is what we call the NPR. We'll be saying that repeatedly, but we're referring to the multi-purpose room. And then the kitchen. So the multi-purpose room, and again, these are inspo images, not the design, but what we're thinking about when we're going to get into the design. So the multi-purpose room will have a dining area with a raised performance platform, curtain, audio-visual system for performances. And then your kitchen. You're going to have a large cook kitchen with walk-in refrigerator, a dedicated serving area, so the serving line will have its own space. Then there will also be an outdoor covered dining area that will accommodate everyone. Indoor and outdoor event and dining space will be available there as well. Okay, so then the next category are the learning studios. So you asked about restrooms. There will be classroom clusters. They'll be arranged around, and it's similar to how a lake is arranged. But the classrooms will be arranged around a breakout room and a learning commons, which will have high visibility from the classrooms. So it's very activated space, very flexible. Then there's support spaces. There will be a project room available for STEAM, music, arts, and science. There will be a learning center, student and staff restrooms adjacent to the learning area without having to exit the building. And then classroom features will include sinks, storage, small group spaces for learning support. And again, some images that reflect the type of spaces we're thinking about, not designing. Okay, yeah. Okay, then transitional kindergarten, which we say TKK over and over again. So that's what we mean when we say TKK. So there will be a separate building or zone for those types of classrooms. There are larger classroom spaces to support a variety of learning activities. The classroom features will include similarly sinks, storage, access to their own restrooms, separate from where other students will go, staff workrooms directly accessible from the classroom. And they'll also have a dedicated play space, which we know is required, but it'll be worked into the outdoor space for the whole site. So again, some images here that kind of mirror what we're thinking of. Now some outdoor spaces. We're thinking of including, and what we've heard from feedback so far, diverse activity zones, so areas for structured and unstructured play, physical education, and outdoor learning. We want to create a very welcoming entry, one that really draws you in, with an entry plaza, landscaping, trees, and a connection to the park. And then just lots of green space. We've heard that a lot. The outdoor design will include trees, turf play, and a garden. And then again, some images that show what we're thinking. Okay, now we're going to go through some of the options we've been looking at so far. And I'll pass it to Viola. Thank you.
Welcome back, Brian. So based on the feedback we've been hearing and what we're hearing to see from the abstracts that we want to develop for each of these building programs, we developed sort of a initial design ideas that's really based on best research and or design studies that we've done in the past on our past experiences. So I'll quickly walk you through with 4 options, but we'll spend a little more time on this option so everyone can understand the each of focus area we're looking at. So on your right is that site plan. So if you imagine you're a bird flying over the campus, you're kind of looking right down from a Google map view, but we simplified it with color blocks per the program we just showed before. So each of the space we just talked about will reside in each of these color blocks. So we're looking sort of a large picture of the moment to really get the best comments of the site arrangement and really that feel like we want to create a community of that feel like, right? How the entry would look like. So I'll just start with the very top of the option. So right from the back, as a designer, we want to optimize daylights in the classroom. We know that really create optimum learning environments. So that's one of the criteria we want to look is where in the classroom naturally along the north-south axis. So we get really best daylighting. So in this option you see here, that classroom grade 1 to 6 on the top is really the best orientation we're looking for. So all the classroom can receive really good lighting. However, in this case, the way we're renting TKK, is within kind of east west way. So it's not that really nature more than nice we're looking for. That's why we put like a cross and a check on there. So we're meeting half of the goal we're creating. So the next one we're really trying to create is every classroom has a view and access to nature. So in this case, we're creating the buildings and putting them around the perimeter of the building. So we're trying to create a view where students look through all the windows. There's a nature space to look out into. So put a little check on that goal. Then just working with 3D massing and the building design, we're trying to minimize energy use for cost efficiency. So later down the road, in 30 years, we're really trying to lower that overall operational cost for schools, so it's more sustainable, cost-effective approach. So that's a little check. We put it on option 1 as well. And the next one is about stormwater management, the way how we design the roof, how we collect the rainwater, how we can reuse it, and reapply it to a garden or a green space at the site. So that's also another consideration we implied on here, another check on here. Then, as Alan mentioned before, we're looking at about 9 feet of raging from Futurol down to Cypress here. So we naturally we don't want to develop any stairs, so we need to strategically look at the site as a whole and see if there's strategies we can implement to help people naturally move around the site without climbing up or down over these stairs. So in this option, we're also able to achieve that. So that's a little check there. Then again, we didn't show a lot of the details in the specific classroom, but all the options of the classrooms got single-use restrooms. So that's going to be applied for the whole site and all the buildings. Then the next one we're looking at is we redesigned. So originally the staff driving and the parking lot was on the right side over here. We're relocating it to really extend it and provide more parking lot to staff, and let the staff come and grow in the future. So we're anticipating future growth of the campus as well. So those will check mark on there. Then the consideration is what we heard is Cypress gets really busy if parents are coming in driving cars and trying to drop kids off. So we're creating a little drop-off area over here where we can help with the traffic and really separate out a pedestrian safe way for parents and kids who are walking to school, at the same time for those who are driving and drop off, really separate them out so that there's no safety concerns over there. So those will check off on there. Then the other concern we've heard is the traffic on Contra, which being here and I've been here for multiple years is really busy, and you really like making a left turn, making a right turn is crazy on Contra, right? So we don't want students to kind of just separate it out from that street by a fence. We really want a building and a solid wall to help protect our students or even looking into that street. So all these fast cars, we're trying to locate our buildings up on the border to help protect the students. So when they're strangers walking on the streets, really fast driving cars coming through, we're hoping for those who are playing in this playfield to shut them away from that noise and possibly just busy streets and name too many, but there's a lot of safety concerns. So that's another checkbox. Then the part we also consider and we heard is the admin. It would be nicer to have the admin building closer to that main drop-off area, so people come in can directly go in, or during the non-rush drop-off pickup hours. It's easier for parents to come in, pick up a sick kid or something like that. So here, this option didn't really meet our goal because we kind of elaborated more options, and that will show. But that's also one of the goals we're trying to achieve. Then from the staff, we heard it would be nice to have HR, library, admin building all close located. So walking from one building to the other, for example, someone coming in for a community meeting, we don't want them to walk all the way to the opposite side of the campus. It's just a lot of walking, and for the admin to monitor all these activities, it's difficult. Sometimes people are for short staff, things happen, right? So we want to be closer to this area, so that people have easy access and it's easier to monitor and do. So this option didn't really meet our goal either. Then another option is knowing how TKK. Of course, I have a very young baby. I have to like jump off the baby into a TKK classroom myself. It takes 30 minutes in the morning, maybe to do that to find parking. So it would be really nice, right? We have like a designated jump off zone and the TKK classroom being right there. I can just park my car, walk the baby in, bye-bye, and come back. But in this option, again, I think it's a miss here that we do have to walk like halfway through the campus and do the activity and come back. So 30 minutes wasted in the morning, we have to come back and do that again in the afternoon. So another goal we're trying to achieve wasn't achieved on this option. Then the other one we've heard it would be nice to have a really sizable, reasonable size of a visitor parking. So just during the regular office hours, if parents come to tourist schools or need to pick up someone, it's designated parking spots would be very nice. So these are a list of things we thought about would be nice to bring out to the school, and because these are kind of the goals that help us to flesh out the designs and really use these as elements to guide how we think about certain things and what kind of environment we're trying to achieve. So then the next option, let me just quickly go through these. So again, we tried the different iterations of this. The bird eye view, looking down, and just all the programs are in here, but we're shifting locations of these programs to see if this can carry out a better outcome. So in this option, you can see we are maintaining the same parking lot access to the staff, and we couldn't fit as much as parking spots in here. Then the other one we missed is we're not able to create a new drop-off, but rather use the existing one. But in this one, we're able to locate admin, library, and PR really close together and be up front to the streets, so people can still achieve some other goals that we're trying to create here. Then this one was also not nice to have the TKA going too far, and we did have a visitor parking here where people can park their car and walk their baby and let the TKA come back. So we're like, let's try another option and see if we can make it even better. So this one was another option. We thought maybe we can consolidate all the buildings much more closer and see if we can create a different feel that we can generate all of these building programs arrangement. But this one I think was really lacking off is number one, that safety concern we have, having busy really traffic road up on the patrol and put all the students in the play area up against there. And we also lost the supervision of the admin to be looking out at the whole site. And then fitting in gardens in front of the buildings and really create that natural feel of each building was also minimized on this one. But what we did was if we relocated the classroom down the bottom, right, the access becomes a little different. So all the students walking into the classrooms are closer. So these are different priorities we tried differently on each of these options, and each of them, I think we're just, how to say this? Yeah, like so we keep trying. So then there's a fourth option without making a target here. So we look at this. What we did is we relocated the driveway and really create sort of a drive through here, but maintain the gate access all the way through. So then this can be opened or closed depending on the need, and then really get that visitor parking off the streets onto the site. And next to the library, which is right next to a community room, we created right there. Then we elongated the drop-off area here, so that is parallel two-lane. People can park, people can drive through, there's no traffic jam anymore. Then we're still putting the classrooms 1 to 6 up on top to help guard the campus. But then we're able to create a large, nice outdoor play area and really let them access this whole center of activities. When it walks through, they can go to the MPR location and usually lunch, and they can go play basketball. And there's garden, there's different play area and track and field, and down here is the library. So this is more of a community center space. And then you look at here, what we're doing is we created a little gate for people to come in during rush hours. So when you're dropping in, when your 200 kids going in all at once, we'll open up all the gates over here. And then they will be closed during school time. Then everybody goes through this main entry. So it will be a monitored entry. This will also be monitored, which is allow all the students to go in at the same time. Then TKK was able to be pretty close to admin, at the same time convenient for the parents. Then again, we're separating all the car flow right up here. We're not really blocking anything, but probably will have a safety guard during the school hours coming in to guide all the pedestrians across the way. Then also peak hours, you can still use the street to come here. So really, where people will go off the neighborhood and then the car goes through and really avoid a safety concern. So yeah, these are the 4 options.
Hi, did you mention the cafeteria? Because I didn't see it. Where's the cafeteria?
Oh,
It's the orange block.
it's right here. So what we're planning is the kitchen here. This is the projection. This is a sheltered event area right outside. So pretty much you go to the kitchen, go to the ski line, you cook your food. You can go outside or go inside. If it's raining outside, you'll be in the NPR. Then there's all this space. So I'll hand it to Heidi. I know everybody probably has some thoughts. We'll break into some of them. We'll talk about it.
Thanks, Maya. And thank you all for coming and listening to this design process that we're all working on. I'm super excited to hear your input, which is this next part. So our next activity, we want to split up into 3 groups. And together we want to hear your thoughts, get your feedback, figure out what you liked and what you didn't like, what you want to see moving forward. So we have those plans that Leah just shared at the site. We have them plotted out on some larger papers, and we'll gather around in 3 groups. So let's do 1 group here at the front, 1 group we can pin back onto the wall on the back side, and 1 group we'll do over on the wall that Ellen's at right now. So what we want to hear from you guys is kind of like any feedback that you have about the design so far. And we want to ask that as we talk collectively as a group, everyone's mindful of the fact that we're all talking in community, and we want to give everyone a chance to have your voice heard. So as you're sharing your thoughts, maybe try to keep it to about a minute at a time before we pass on to the next community member, so everyone has time to speak. And then we'll also have more post-its. So if you don't want to speak out loud or there's no time, feel free to write down your thoughts on a post-it note as well, or you can tell it to one of us and we can write it down for you. And then this is sort of the chance to get all of your thoughts together. Again, I want to reiterate that if you haven't had a chance yet to give feedback on these initial design principles and goals, feel free to give your thoughts on those as well. So we have about 30 minutes to have this discussion,